All right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you know what we haven't gotten enough of in the last couple years? Nazis.
yeah. So, with this movie here, Zone of Interest, like I said, been working through all the Best Picture nominees. I think this is one of the rare years where I actually have seen now, after watching this, all the Best Picture nominees there. So that's kind of, yeah, very, very good. So, Zone of Interest, been a movie that people have been talking about for a minute now, getting a lot of high praise, a lot of love. This movie here, which is, as Nick mentioned, about Nazis, family of Nazis that you have here, where you see kind of the family who's the patriarch of the family is a commandant of Auschwitz. He kind of oversees it. And then his house where he lives is directly across from Auschwitz, the camps, the concentration camps. And throughout the movie, you never see actually what's going on in the camps. You only hear things of what's going on. You only hear gunshots. You only hear screams. You only hear, you see the smoke and fire coming from it. That's about it. You never actually physically actually see what's going on in the camps there. So they kind of keep that all, just the main view of it is just with this family, and kind of just, it's a day in the life of Nazis. I mean, it's just them doing regular family activities. It's them having parties. It's them sitting and eating a dinner. It's, the wife and the husband, who the wife in this is played by, who just my we just recently talked about, who was in Anatomy of a Fall, Sandra Hüller, who
Mm,
was in that, who was very good in that,
mm.
Anatomy of a Fall. She's fantastic in that. She's nominated for Best Actress this
Mm.
year at the Academy. And yeah, so it's them just doing everyday kind of regular family activity. That's it. If you're expecting like something maybe big or dramatic to be happening in this movie, no, it's really nothing really big or kind of dramatic happening at all in it. This is
So is
directed
it,
by. Oh, go ahead.
is it like Downfall in that way?
I've never seen Downfall.
Downfall is very similar. You kind of see it, the bunker, where it's at the tail end of World War II, and Hitler's in the bunker with his generals, and they're just kind of slowly
Mhm.
watching it. You don't really see any fighting. You just kind of hear about what's happening. It's a very bottleneck movie, very character driven. It's where all the memes where Hitler is like talking, and then they put
Oh,
different subtitles underneath it. That's from the movie it comes from. But the movie itself is tries to humanize the end of or at least the downfall of the Nazi regime.
okay.
At least humanize the
Mhm.
characters.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know, maybe it is. I haven't seen Downfall myself personally. So for people who have, maybe they see the connection and have seen both of these.
Mhm.
So yeah, like I said, it's kind of the day in the life there of that. Like I said, it's directed by Jonathan Glazer. Jonathan Glazer, who directed the movie Under the Skin. That was the movie with Scarlett Johansson.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys probably have seen that, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I've seen it, and he also directed the Karma Police video for Radiohead.
Oh,
Okay.
he did.
Yeah,
I
yeah, that
forgot
was
about
him.
that. Okay.
So I seen Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson. Very trippy kind of
Mhm.
film there. Very
Yeah,
weird type of film.
yeah, it's kind of a movie that is a very kind of like voyeuristic look at an alien trying to acclimate to human society.
Yeah. So kind of have that very, very much about a lot of experience of kind of integrating
Mhm.
into human society
Hmm.
about the world. Some of that kind of applies here, where you kind of just see like this everyday life of these Nazis here. And as Dust mentioned with the movie, like a Downfall, maybe trying to humanize a little bit of these people. Um, Humanizing this, it doesn't mean they treat these people as good or anything like that. It
Mhm.
just shows, like when I looked at a lot of reviews for this, banality of evil.
Yeah.
You'll
Mhm.
see there people just like, this was just regular commonplace. This was
Mm.
just, everyday thing that just happened, and that nobody really thought twice about, which almost makes it, kind of even
Worse.
scarier,
Mhm.
in a sense of like you're just living directly across from the camp, and you see, Sandra Hewler just sitting at the breakfast table, and then, you hear the screams, you hear the gunshots, she's having her mother over, and then they're sitting in the backyard and, just having a regular nice evening, and then you hear, just screams there. It's just like it adds to that level of kind of dehumanization that kind of went on during that period of time. So I thought that was very good, and I thought
Mhm.
that was, so you really didn't need to see what was going on at Auschwitz. You didn't really need to
Yeah.
see the horrific events. I think everything is done well enough to make that point come across. And it's like, I mean, come on, who doesn't? I mean, people know what happened in World War II. I mean, you don't really,
I mean, I'd say like half of the population of the U.S. say that's debatable, but
yeah. I mean, but
more more like a quarter. I'm gonna be more like a quarter.
just a very, very loud, very annoying quarter.
Yeah, where it's nah, that didn't happen, even though we have extensive records otherwise.
yeah. So,
Mm,
so I think that kind of adds to that, and you'll see, a lot of reviews talk about that, the banality of evil and kind of what that, and I think that's what's kind of being presented in this movie.
Mhm,
Like I said, if you're expecting like some huge events to happen or some big dramatic moments to happen or anything like that, you're not going to get that from this
mhm,
movie. You're not going to get some big speeches in the movie. You're not going to get some big monologues in the movie. It's just, like I said,
mhm,
it's just very much everyday life. You know what I mean? Seeing these people kind of do this. That's about it. The performances are good here. I think
mhm,
those work really well. I think the writing is very strong here. The way the movie looks is very strong. Uh, all that's presented very well. Other than that, I just think it's I mean, good movie. I wouldn't say, would this be on my list of like best of the year list? I don't think so. Not for me
mhm,
personally.
mm,
But I could see why it would be for some people. It just didn't. I don't think had that much enough for me, but I understand the point the movie is making. I understand the
mhm,
kind of a lot of kind of what's going on here, and I think it is very kind of relevant for this period of time, and I think Jonathan Glazer does a good job at getting his point
mhm.
across without being too showy or too
mm.
preachy about it. So
Yeah,
if I had to,
mhm.
oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I am kind of taken with how the movie looks because it is very much pulled back away from a
Mhm,
lot of your characters and actors. It's more letting the setting and the mood speak for itself,
mm,
Yeah, which
which I think is something Glazer does really well as a director, even in his music videos.
Yeah,
mm,
because when he did the movie, Under the Skin, there's a lot of that, where you kind
yeah,
of have that, in that, and this is, Under the Skin,
Mhm,
right here, this movie, yeah,
yeah. The
so
whole and this famously also had the whole pool of black water, which
mhm,
was later incorporated into the whole Stranger Things thing.
mhm,
mm, yeah. So, you kinda have that of, like, where it's kinda gonna go, what's gonna happen here, uh, it adds to that thing, so Um, for me, and there's some interesting kind of visual choices. Like there's moments of the movie in Zone of Interest where it's kind of like you're seeing somebody through like like a like night vision kind of look to it, where you're kind of
hmm,
seeing that. Like it's kind of I
interesting.
I'm trying to describe the word for it. But it's kind of like you're seeing somebody through like night vision goggles or something like that.
Hmm,
Which is
I mean,
like
like
this like
voyeuristic.
yeah, maybe that's what I'm trying to
mhm,
say. Yeah, voyeuristic type of style there.
Like almost like fly on the wall.
Yeah, kinda like fly on the wall type thing. It's kinda like the images are like how you would see like heat vision kinda recognition,
Oh,
kinda
okay.
like
Oh,
that.
okay, all right.
Something like that. Like you see some scenes like that where you'll see like a little girl and you'll see like some scenes there with that. But yeah. So strong movie, I think. Is it gonna be everybody's cup of tea? Because I've seen, like I said, maybe people think it's a little too slow. It's not a long movie. It's only an hour and 45 minutes. It's not very long. Um,
I think that probably works in its favor.
Mhm,
yeah,
yeah.
so it's not too long, and then kind of there's a moment at the end of the movie, where yeah, it kinda ties more back into the overall theme of it, where you see kind of, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you see the ending of it. So yeah, I would give it a tune in, for me,
Hmm.
a good tune in. Any questions, any thoughts about the movie?
Um, but the biggest connection I saw was because it reminded me of some imagery from Downfall. But I guess only comment I will make is the banality of evil was the kind of a title encompassing piece of when they were doing the trials in Nuremberg, and that was what this famous
Mhm,
reporter, when she compiled the notes, that what she found was that it really just came down to I was just following orders, because at the
mhm,
time they were like, oh, there had to be some kind of link into far more disturbing of a kind of evil can just be done almost in like in a
mhm.
rudimentary way, and people aren't really
Yeah.
thinking about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, something that's always fascinating about that is, in our depiction of media, especially with look at the last like 50 some odd years of film history with its portrayal of Nazis, we always kind of picture them, or the common portrayal is these are just like mustache twirling, just cackling, psychopathic villains, when the reality is a majority were just people following orders or doing their job that they were taught was okay.
Yeah. And this is based on a book, loosely based on that 2014 novel called Zone of Interest there by Martin Ames. So it's loosely based on that.
I think, with the whole Nazi thing, it's because it's almost you have to in a lot of ways. You kind of have to, because if you have to then dive into a lot of questions and a lot of characterizations that I think other movies are just not interested in even dealing with.
Yeah, it's easy because, as people, we brought up on a lot of film, especially a lot of a lot of the serial stuff that inspired movies like Indiana Jones. We kind of crave that little black and white morality, and Nazis are probably the easiest targets for that.
Oh yeah.
Also, it's all in German, so there's no English. It's not like a Ridley Scott where they're in France and everybody one has a British accent, one has an American accent. You know what I mean? It's all
it's not like a Napoleon when they're in France and nobody gives a shit about accents.
I was thinking of his version of Robin Hood too.
Robin Hood, House of Gucci.
Yeah, he does it all the time. Nobody giving a shit about accents, and you have Jared Leto doing a doing an impression of Mario.
Yeah, no.
So, it's all subtitles, also all in German there. So I give it a tune in for Zone of Interest from Jonathan Glazer.